Hello there, friends. Welcome back to Wise and Well. If you're new here, I'm so glad you've joined us. This is a place where we talk about living life to its fullest, no matter your age. Today, we're diving into a topic that I think will really resonate with you: why life after 65 can be some of the best years you've ever had. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Best years? Really? Maybe you've noticed a few more aches in the morning or find yourself reminiscing about the energy you used to have. But hear me out, because I truly believe that this stage of life has so much to offer if we approach it with the right mindset. Let me start by asking you something. Have you ever caught yourself feeling like you're on the sidelines now, watching others live their busy lives while you wonder where your place is? Or maybe you've thought, I've done my part. What's left for me now? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many people feel this way as they transition into retirement or slow down from the hustle of earlier decades. But here's the thing: this time doesn't have to be about winding down. It can actually be about opening up to new opportunities, deeper connections, and even a renewed sense of purpose. In fact, today we're going to explore 5 surprising reasons why aging can bring some of the most rewarding experiences of your life. These aren't just fluffy ideas. They're practical insights backed by research and real-life stories. And guess what? You don't need to radically change who you are or how you live to embrace them. We'll walk through each reason together, step by step, and I promise you'll leave feeling inspired and maybe even a little excited for what lies ahead. So let's get started with our first reason. One of the most beautiful things about this stage of life is the gift of perspective. Think about it. You've lived through so much. You've seen trends come and go, raised families, built careers, navigated challenges, and celebrated victories. All those experiences add up to something incredibly valuable: wisdom. And wisdom isn't just about knowing facts or having answers. It's about understanding what truly matters. At this point in your journey, you probably care less about impressing people and more about savoring moments that bring joy. That shift in focus is powerful. When you stop chasing external validation and start prioritizing what makes you happy, life becomes richer and more fulfilling. For example, one of my favorite stories comes from a woman named Margaret, who shared her experience with me recently. After retiring, she decided to take up painting, a hobby she'd always been curious about but never had time for. She told me, "I thought I'd be terrible at it, but honestly, I don't care anymore. I paint because it brings me peace." Isn't that wonderful? Margaret realized that perfection wasn't the goal, enjoyment was, and that's something many of us only figure out later in life. So my question to you is this: what's one thing you've always wanted to try but felt too busy or too self-conscious to pursue? Maybe it's learning an instrument, joining a book club, or traveling somewhere new. Whatever it is, remember this: there's no better time than now to give yourself permission to explore. Now, let's move on to another incredible benefit of this season of life: freedom. Yes, freedom. Whether it's financial stability, an empty nest, or simply fewer obligations pulling you in every direction, many folks over 65 find themselves with more flexibility than ever before. For years, you may have juggled work deadlines, family responsibilities, and social commitments. But now? Well, now you get to decide how you spend your days. Sounds liberating, doesn't it? Of course, freedom looks different for everyone. Some use it to travel the world, ticking off bucket list destinations. Others prefer quiet mornings spent gardening or volunteering at local charities. I remember chatting with a gentleman named Jim who retired 5 years ago. He said, "For the first time in my life, I wake up without a schedule looming over me. I can read the paper, take a long walk, or meet a friend for coffee whenever I want." Can you imagine how refreshing that must feel? No rushing, no pressure, just the luxury of time. And here's the kicker: studies show that having control over your daily routine can significantly boost mental health and overall well-being. So whether you choose to fill your days with adventure or relaxation, the key is doing what feels right for you. Which brings me to my next point: the importance of connection. As humans, we thrive on relationships. They ground us, inspire us, and remind us that we're not alone. And while friendships may look different as we age, they're no less meaningful. In fact, many people say their later years are when they form their deepest bonds. Why? Because by this point, you've likely figured out which relationships truly matter. You're less interested in superficial interactions and more focused on quality over quantity. That's why reconnecting with old friends or nurturing close family ties can be such a source of happiness during this time. Take Mary, for instance. She reconnected with her childhood best friend after decades apart. They started exchanging letters, then phone calls, and eventually planned a weekend getaway. Mary told me, "It was like no time had passed. We laughed, cried, and picked up right where we left off." Doesn't that sound lovely? Rekindling old friendships or making new ones can breathe fresh air into your life. Plus, staying socially active has been shown to improve cognitive function and emotional resilience. So don't underestimate the power of reaching out. It could lead to some of the most joyful moments of your life. Now that we've covered the gifts of perspective, freedom, and connection, let's keep moving forward. Up next, we'll talk about how embracing gratitude can transform your outlook and enhance your well-being. Stay with me, because this is where things get really inspiring. Gratitude. It's one of those words we hear a lot, isn't it? But let me tell you, there's a reason it comes up so often. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good buzzword. It's a practice that can genuinely change how you experience life, especially during this chapter. And here's the best part. It doesn't require anything fancy or complicated. You don't need special tools or hours of your day to make it happen. All it takes is a little shift in focus. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you paused to truly appreciate the good things in your life? Maybe it's something small, like the smell of fresh coffee in the morning or the sound of birds chirping outside your window. Or maybe it's something bigger, like watching your grandchild take their first steps or sharing a laugh with an old friend. Whatever it is, taking a moment to acknowledge it can have a profound impact on your mood and mindset. Research shows that practicing gratitude regularly can reduce stress, improve sleep, and even boost physical health. But beyond the science, there's something deeply satisfying about recognizing the beauty in everyday moments. Let me share a story that really stuck with me. A few months ago, I met a woman named Ruth at a community event. She told me she started keeping a gratitude journal after her husband passed away. At first, she said, it felt almost impossible. How could she find anything to be thankful for during such a difficult time? But slowly, she began jotting down little things. A kind word from a neighbor, a sunny afternoon, a favorite song on the radio. Over time, those tiny notes of gratitude added up. Ruth said, "It didn't erase my grief, but it gave me something else to hold on to. It reminded me that even in hard times, there's still goodness." Isn't that powerful? Gratitude won't magically fix everything, but it can help reframe how we see the world, and that makes all the difference. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. That sounds nice, but where do I even start? Here's the thing. You don't need to write pages and pages or spend hours reflecting. Start small. Maybe each evening before bed, think of 3 things you're grateful for that day. They don't have to be monumental, just meaningful to you. Over time, this simple habit can train your brain to notice the positives more easily. And trust me, once you start looking for them, you'll see them everywhere. Speaking of seeing things differently, let's talk about another surprising reason why life after 65 can be so rewarding. Rediscovering curiosity. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Curiosity? Isn't that for kids? Not at all. Curiosity is timeless, and it's something we can nurture at any age. In fact, staying curious is one of the keys to maintaining a youthful spirit, not just mentally, but emotionally too. Here's the deal. As we grow older, it's easy to fall into routines. We tend to stick with what's familiar because it feels safe. But embracing curiosity means stepping out of that comfort zone every now and then. It means asking questions, trying new things, and allowing yourself to wonder about the world around you. And guess what? This isn't just fun, it's actually good for your brain. Studies show that learning new skills or engaging in novel activities can help keep your mind sharp and delay cognitive decline. So whether it's picking up a hobby, exploring a different genre of books, or simply taking a new route on your daily walk, staying curious keeps life interesting. I'll never forget the story of George, a retired engineer who decided to take cooking classes in his late 60s. He laughed as he told me, "I burned more meals than I care to admit at first, but I loved every minute of it." What started as a way to pass the time turned into a passion. Now, George hosts dinner parties for his friends and family, experimenting with recipes from all over the world. He says, "Cooking has taught me patience, creativity, and how to embrace imperfection. Plus, it's given me a whole new way to connect with people." Doesn't that sound inspiring? Whether it's cooking, painting, gardening, or something completely unexpected, there's always room to explore and grow. And here's the beautiful thing about curiosity: it goes hand in hand with gratitude. The more open you are to discovering new things, the more opportunities you'll find to be thankful for. Together, these two practices create a cycle of positivity that can transform your days. Imagine waking up excited to learn something new and ending the day feeling grateful for the experiences you've had. That's living fully, right there. Which brings me to our next point: the incredible power of purpose. Purpose is one of those things that gives life meaning, no matter your age. But here's the secret: your sense of purpose doesn't have to look the same as it did when you were younger. For many of us, earlier decades were defined by big goals, building careers, raising families, achieving milestones. Those were important seasons, but they're not the only ones that matter. In fact, this stage of life offers a unique chance to redefine what purpose means to you. So, what does purpose look like after 65? Well, it's different for everyone. For some, it's volunteering at a local shelter or mentoring young people. For others, it's spending quality time with grandchildren or advocating for causes they believe in. The key is finding something that lights you up inside, that makes you feel like you're contributing to the world in a meaningful way. And here's the amazing part: purpose doesn't have to involve grand gestures or sweeping changes. Even small acts of kindness or creative pursuits can fulfill that need to make a difference. Take Helen, for example. After retiring from teaching, she wasn't sure what to do with her time. Then she discovered a local literacy program that needed volunteers. She started tutoring adults who wanted to improve their reading skills, and it quickly became the highlight of her week. Helen said, "Helping someone else achieve their dreams reminds me why I became a teacher in the first place. It's given me a renewed sense of purpose." Isn't that remarkable? Purpose doesn't fade with age, it evolves. And when you tap into it, you'll find that it adds a richness to your days that nothing else can match. With gratitude, curiosity, and purpose working together, it's no wonder so many people describe their later years as some of the most fulfilling. But we're not done yet. There's one final reason why this stage of life can be extraordinary, and it ties everything we've talked about together in a beautiful way. Let's dive into that. The final reason why life after 65 can be so extraordinary is something we often overlook. Yet it's one of the most profound gifts of this stage: presence. Yes, presence. The ability to fully live in the moment, to savor the here and now without worrying about what's next or dwelling on what's past. You know, when you're younger, there's always this sense of urgency. The future feels like this big, looming question mark, and you're constantly striving towards some far-off goal. But at this point in your journey, well, let me tell you, you've earned the right to slow down and simply be. And that's a beautiful thing. Think about it for a moment. How often do we rush through our days, ticking off tasks and chasing deadlines, only to realize later that we missed the joy in the little things? Maybe it's the warmth of sunlight streaming through the window while you sip your morning tea, or the way laughter feels deep in your chest when you're reminiscing with an old friend. These are the moments that make life rich, and they happen right here, right now, not in some distant future. When you embrace presence, you give yourself permission to notice these treasures and let them fill you up. Let me share a story that really drove this home for me. A few years ago, I met a man named Walter, who had just turned 72. He told me he used to be a workaholic, always chasing promotions and pushing himself to achieve more. But after retiring, he realized something important. "For decades, I was living for tomorrow," he said. "I kept telling myself, when I hit this milestone, then I'll relax." But guess what? Tomorrow never came. It was always another goal, another deadline. Then, during a quiet afternoon fishing with his grandson, Walter had an epiphany. As he sat there watching the water ripple under the sun, he thought, "This is it. This is my life. Right here, right now." From that day forward, he made a conscious effort to live more intentionally, to soak up every moment instead of rushing through it. Walter described it as feeling lighter, freer, and more alive than he'd felt in years. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Now, I'm not saying you should throw away plans or stop setting goals altogether. Life is still full of possibilities, and dreaming is part of what keeps us vibrant. But there's a difference between planning for the future and being so focused on it that you miss the beauty of today. Presence isn't about doing nothing, it's about doing everything with intention. Whether you're gardening, reading, spending time with loved ones, or even tackling chores around the house, you can bring mindfulness to those activities. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What do I see, hear, smell, taste, or touch? Tuning into your senses helps anchor you in the present moment, making even ordinary tasks feel extraordinary. And here's the magic of presence. It amplifies all the other reasons we've talked about. When you're truly present, gratitude comes naturally because you're noticing the goodness around you. Curiosity flourishes because you're open to discovering new details in familiar experiences. Connection deepens because you're giving people your full attention instead of letting your mind wander. Even purpose feels richer because you're not just going through the motions, you're fully engaged in whatever you're doing. Presence ties everything together, creating a tapestry of fulfillment that makes life after 65 truly remarkable. So, let's take a moment to recap where we've been. We started by talking about perspective, the wisdom that comes from years of living, and how it helps you prioritize what truly matters. Then we explored freedom, connection, and gratitude, each offering its own unique joys and opportunities. We delved into curiosity and purpose, reminding ourselves that growth and meaning don't stop at any age. And finally, we landed on presence, the art of living fully in the moment and embracing the richness of today. Together, these 5 reasons paint a picture of aging not as a decline, but as a chance to thrive in ways you might not have imagined. Here's the truth, friends. Small changes can make a big difference in your health and happiness. Whether it's starting a gratitude journal, trying a new hobby, reconnecting with an old friend, volunteering your time, or simply pausing to appreciate the beauty around you, every step counts. And remember, you don't have to do everything at once. Pick one thing that resonates with you and start there. Over time, those small shifts will add up to something transformative. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. Have you discovered something surprising or joyful about this stage of life? Maybe you've found a new passion, reconnected with someone special, or learned to embrace the present moment in a way that's brought you peace. Whatever it is, I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Your stories inspire others, and they remind us all that we're not alone on this journey. And if you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to like it and subscribe to Wise and Well for more content designed to help you live your best life at any age. Sharing this video with a friend or family member would mean the world to me too. It's how we grow this community of wise and wonderful individuals like you. As we close out today, I want to leave you with this thought. Life doesn't lose its sparkle as we age, it simply shifts, revealing new facets of beauty and meaning. So whether you're 65, 75, or beyond, know this. You are capable of incredible growth, joy, and fulfillment. Here's to living your best life at any age. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.